Welcome to the SmartTechCheck Edu series, where we're breaking down the big takeaways from Apple's WWDC26. I'm Mark Vena, CEO and Principal Analyst at SmartTech Research. Let's get this out of the way up front. Some people, understandably, look to every Apple event expecting an earth-shattering moment, a new device category, a jaw-dropping AI demo, a one more thing that instantly resets the technology conversation. Measured that way, WWDC26 may have felt underwhelming, but that is not the whole story. What Apple actually delivered was more subtle, more strategic, and frankly more Apple-like. This was not Apple chasing the chatbot wars on someone else's terms. This was Apple saying AI should not feel like some bolted-on science project. It should live inside Siri, inside Photos, inside Safari, inside Messages, inside the camera, inside the Mac, inside the watch, across the ecosystem. The big takeaway is simple. Apple wants AI to become the connective tissue across every screen you use. That may not create the loudest headline, but if Apple executes, it could create something far more important. AI that normal people actually use. The big WWDC26 story was not one single feature. It was Apple trying to shift the center of gravity from apps to intent. In plain English, Apple wants users to stop thinking so much about where something lives and start asking for what they want done. Ask Siri, point the camera, describe the shortcut. Let Safari watch the page. Let Messages suggest the action. Let Calendar build the event. Let Photos fix the shot. That is the real story here. Apple focused on four big areas: Siri, AI, Apple Intelligence across everyday apps, child safety, and broader operating system improvements. None of this screams revolution in the classic Apple keynote sense, but it does show Apple trying to make AI useful in ways mainstream users can understand. And that matters because consumers are still skeptical about AI. Many people hear AI and think scams, hallucinations, data mining, creepy personalization, and job displacement. Apple is leaning into its trust brand. It is saying, we can bring AI to your daily life without making it feel invasive. That is a smart message. Now, Apple has to prove the experience is fast, reliable, and worth using. Siri AI was the announcement Apple had to make. For years, Siri has been the awkward part of the Apple ecosystem. People use it for timers, weather, alarms, and the occasional text message. But it has never felt like the intelligent assistant Apple originally promised. WWDC26 was Apple's reset button. The new Siri AI is built around personal context, on-screen awareness, web knowledge, and cross-app actions. That means Siri should be able to understand what is on your screen, pull relevant information from your messages, emails, photos, and apps, and then help you actually get something done. That is the leap Apple needed. The goal is blunt. Siri has to move from being a voice command relic to being a trusted daily assistant. Now, to be balanced, the demos did show some latency. There were moments where Siri AI did not feel instantaneous. That is a concern because consumers will not tolerate lag in something that is supposed to feel magical. But I'll give Apple credit. The WWDC presentation did not appear to hide every delay or overly polish the demos into Fantasyland. That honesty matters. This slide gets at something very important: memory. The dedicated Siri app may not sound flashy, but it could be one of the most meaningful parts of the Siri AI strategy. Why? Because most AI interactions today are disposable. You ask a question, get an answer, move on, and often lose the thread. Apple is trying to change that. With a dedicated Siri app and privately synced conversation history through iCloud, Apple wants Siri to follow you across iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and Vision Pro. That matters because Apple's greatest advantage is not one device. It is the ecosystem. You may start a conversation on your iPhone, continue it on your Mac, check something quickly on your Apple Watch, and later revisit the thread on your iPad. That is where Apple can make AI feel less like an app and more like a companion layer across the experience. The risk is execution. If this feels slow, inconsistent, or limited, users will drop it fast. But the concept is right. Memory is what turns AI from a trick into something that feels useful over time. Visual intelligence may be the Apple Intelligence feature mainstream users understand first. That is because it is simple. Point your iPhone camera at something, ask a question, get an answer or an action. That is much easier to understand than a vague promise about generative AI transforming your workflow. Apple showed examples like getting nutritional insights from food, splitting a bill with Apple Cash, using screenshots on iPad, and selecting something on your Mac screen to ask Siri for help. This is where AI starts to feel practical. A camera becomes more than a camera. A screenshot becomes more than a static image. Your Mac screen becomes something Siri can understand. The interface starts to disappear. That is powerful. It also fits Apple's style. Apple usually wins when it hides complexity and makes technology feel obvious. Again, performance matters. If visual intelligence takes too long to respond, users will bail. But if Apple gets the speed and accuracy right, this could be one of the most consumer-friendly AI features announced at WWDC26. This is AI you can see, point at, and use. His is where WWDC26 gets very practical. Apple Intelligence is moving into photos, Safari, passwords, and image playground. These are not abstract AI demos. These are everyday pain points. Photos get spatial reframing, extend, improved cleanup, and Synth ID watermarking for AI edited images. That means Apple is giving users more power to fix imperfect photos while also signaling when AI has played a role. Safari gets smarter tab grouping, page monitoring for restocks or price drops, and even the ability to create custom extensions from plain language. Passwords can automatically upgrade weak or compromised passwords with one tap. Image Playground gets more capable, including photorealistic generation and easier editing by description. The theme here is friction removal. Apple is not saying, come use our AI because AI is cool. It is saying, here are annoying things you do every day, and AI can make them easier. That is the right consumer message. The challenge is whether Apple can make these tools feel dependable and not gimmicky. Mainstream users will not care that Apple is using foundation models. They will care if their photos look better, their tabs make sense, and their passwords get safer. This slide is about the quiet power of proactive AI. The best AI features are often not the loudest. They are the ones that remove 5 taps, prevent a search, or stop you from digging through an email at the worst possible moment. Apple showed that direction with messages, mail, phone, calendar, shortcuts, home, and accessibility. Messages and mail get smarter suggestions and replies that better match how you actually communicate. Calendar can create and modify events from natural language. Phone can surface things like confirmation codes or reservation numbers when you call a business. Shortcuts becomes more approachable because users can describe what they want instead of building automation logic from scratch. The Home app can group notifications, summarize camera clips, and help users search video more intelligently. Accessibility also gets meaningful upgrades, including richer descriptions and easier voice controls. This is not flashy keynote material, but it is important. Apple is trying to make AI feel like less work, not more work. And that is exactly where mainstream adoption happens. People do not want another AI dashboard. They want fewer dead ends. The developer story may sound inside baseball, but it matters more than people think. Apple can only do so much with its own apps. The real power comes when developers make AI native to the broader app ecosystem. That is why app intents, foundation models, core AI, and Xcode updates matter. App intents help Siri surface information and complete tasks inside third-party apps. Foundation models add image input, custom skills, and server model support through a Swift API. Core AI lets developers run models locally with Apple Silicon performance. And Xcode is getting more agentic, with simulated device interaction, Figma and GitHub integrations, and model choice, including Gemini. That last part is worth noting. Apple is still Apple. It wants control. But it also understands developers do not want to be trapped inside one AI model universe. For users, the payoff is simple. Better apps should get built faster. More apps should understand what you want. More experiences should feel intelligent without requiring users to think about the AI underneath. This is the multiplier behind the keynote. It is not sexy, but it is strategically critical. This was not the flashiest part of WWDC26, but for families, it may be one of the most important. Apple is making a serious push to improve parental controls, child accounts, ask to browse, screen time, communication safety, time allowances, schedules, and content controls. That matters because parents are exhausted. They are trying to manage apps, messages, websites, social media, screen time, content risks, and kids who are often better at finding loopholes than adults are at closing them. Apple is trying to make the family iPhone feel safer and easier to manage. This also fits Apple's broader trust story. In a world where many parents are worried about AI, online content, messaging platforms, and addictive app behavior, Apple is positioning itself as the company that can give families more control without requiring them to become IT administrators. This will not get the same attention as Siri AI, but it is deeply practical. And frankly, it gives Apple another reason to keep families inside the ecosystem. Safety, privacy, and control are not side features anymore. They are part of the platform value proposition. So here is my balanced take. If you came into WWDC26 expecting a massive, earth-shattering Apple moment, you may have walked away disappointed. There was no new iPhone form factor, no surprise device category, and no single demo that instantly changed the AI conversation. But that does not mean WWDC26 was unimportant. Apple's message was clear. It is trying to make AI an operating system behavior, not a standalone destination. Siri AI, visual intelligence, photos, Safari, mail, calendar, home, shortcuts, accessibility, and developer tools all point in the same direction. Apple wants AI to disappear into the ecosystem. That is smart. It is also risky. Siri AI has to be fast. The latency shown in some demos was noticeable. Apple deserves credit for not doctoring the presentation to make everything look instant, but consumers will judge the final product brutally. The biggest upside is trust. Apple remains one of the few tech brands mainstream users may believe when it says AI can be helpful without being creepy. That is the real opportunity. Thanks for watching this Smart Tech Check Edu Series episode. Please like this video, subscribe to the Smart Tech Check Podcast channel on YouTube, and let us know what topics Smart Tech Research should cover next.